What is going on, everybody? So today we're talking about some ROG Ally stuff, and it might not be exactly what you expected. Well, from the title, you can tell that it's going to be something that you might not agree with, and of course, those are the best kind of videos to make on this channel. I'm going to stop breaking the fourth wall, but I think that the ROG Ally has opened the gates to a lot more handhelds to experiment with different types of way of playing your games on the go. Now, the main thing that I love about the ROG Ally is the fact that you can just pick up a game, play it, stop playing it, and then remove the SD card and have exactly the same amount of memory you had before playing the game. The number one thing I hated about the Steam Deck was the fact that you needed to pre-cache everything. And sometimes every single time you start a game, you need to pre-cache even more memory, and it adds about 200 to 300 megabytes of data every time you start the game. So it was a bit of a stressful time to play games on the Steam Deck because, well, I had a 1 terabyte internal SSD installed and it was pretty much jam-packed with shader cache. I had more than 400 games, and that was over the course of 10 years of owning a Steam Deck, mind you. But the fact that with the Steam Deck, you need to pre-cache everything and store it inside is the main reason why a lot of games play better on the Steam Deck with less battery being expended, but at the cost of your internal storage. And I try to find ways around that, like making new folders for the shader cache and linking them to the internal storage, so the system thinks that I'm getting it from the internal storage, but I'm actually getting it from an external SSD or another micro SD card. Now, we don't have to do that with the ROG Ally, and because you don't have to do that, there is some stuttering, or there's frequent stuttering with certain titles. And one of the main titles that stutter a lot is Resident Evil 4 Remake. Now, because of that, it doesn't feel like you're playing an official version of it, but with all Windows 11 gaming laptops like my Alienware laptop, there is a crap ton of stuttering, considering that the ROG Ally doesn't stutter as much as laptops would because, well, it works more like a gaming handheld opposed to a laptop. And games on the ROG Ally tend to stutter mainly because there is no pre-caching going on. There's no shader cache to download. There's no external caching that's processing in the background whatsoever. It's caching the shaders while you're playing most of the time. And when you close the game, all that memory that you cached with the shaders go right back to your internal memory. So I would recommend just getting a 1 terabyte SSD, putting all your games in there as much as you want, but leaving at least 20 gigabytes of storage. So you can cache shaders while you play the game, and as soon as you close it, it goes right back, and you can continue that process on and on and on. Now, sometimes Windows would just automatically delete temporary files in order for you to cache even more, or you can go to the AMD software and clear the shader cache right below every other option in that software. And that pretty much frees up any kind of data you had cached while playing a game, or if it doesn't automatically delete, you can go to the AMD software and delete it from that option. And I just love the fact that you don't have to compile shaders every single time you start a game, especially if you're playing a quacked game. DirectX still compiles shaders while you're playing the game, but you can always go into the temporary files in the DirectX folder and just delete them manually if you want. You just have to Google where to delete it, and there you go. There's been plenty of times where I was playing the Steam Deck and I needed to Google exactly how I get those shaders to leave me the fuck alone. And well, the same happened for ROG Ally, but a lot less than it did with the Steam Deck. That was the one major flaw of the Steam Deck that I'm so happy that the ROG Ally doesn't have, and I feel like I can have an infinite amount of games. Right now I have over 2,000 games, and I didn't need to compile shaders for every single one because that would probably amount to more than 1 terabyte of shader cache, and that is such a waste of space in my opinion. So yeah, I love the stuttering on the ROG Ally because it reminds me that I can just delete all the shader cache right after, or the shader cache is just going to leave me alone and it's compiling in real time instead of pre-compiling like the Steam Deck did. But of course, stuttering can be an issue, and it's something that is a bit of a nuisance for a lot of gamers, and I do empathize with a lot of people that go through that with Windows 11, but it's really not worth compiling gigabyte after gigabyte of shaders. The worst example would be Darksiders. When I try to play that on the Steam Deck, Darksiders itself was 21 gigabytes, and the shader cache for that freaking game, which was the remastered version by the way, was 20 gigabytes. Now that is way too much for one game, especially a game that is about 15 years old. No thank you. As soon as that happened, I put my Steam Deck down for a very long time, because that's just a kind of stressful situation you don't want to be in, especially if you're gaming on the go. Oh yeah, before you play this game, just download this quick 20 gigabyte shader cache file, just so you won't have any stutters. Well, Valve, I think those stutters are worth it if I don't have to spend more than 100 gigabytes on something invisible like shader cache that's going to make my experiences 10% better. Most people just disable that, but sometimes when you disable it, especially while you're playing games with the Proton layer enabled, sometimes the games just won't start without a certain amount of shader cache and video cache. When they download video cache, sometimes it can amount to almost 5 gigabytes, like with Dead or Alive 6. Now with the ROG Ally, I play Dead or Alive 6 all the time and don't have this issue at all. This is the main reason why I kind of didn't like gaming with Proton and Steam Deck. Actually, it is the #1 issue, and it's the #1 issue that I absolutely love gaming on the ROG Ally. Stress-free and with infinite possibilities in terms of my game library. Right now, like I said before, over 2,000 games, and I haven't run into this issue at all. I absolutely love gaming without shader cache. I love the stuttering because it just reminds me that I don't have to deal with that fucking shader cache anymore. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about shader cache and stuttering in Windows 11 handheld gaming devices. I think that it's okay. It doesn't really bother me that much. After a few minutes, the stuttering kind of just stops or dissipates for the most part, and I'm not really reminded of the shader cache at all while I'm playing the games. I don't have to worry about them, and honestly, I'm kind of tired of worrying about shader cache. I'm tired of saying those words, and I'll be happy that I never have to say them again, because I don't think I'm going to pick up a Steam Deck mainly because of this issue. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about shader cache, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you have a good one. Later.